Well, Brother Rattigan and Sister Maria, I have to ask you permission, right? Could I extend the program for another 10 minutes? Because since Sister Maria touched on things, right, I want to also emphasize, right, on some situation as it relates to be going down into the politics and where we need to stay away from political violence. So I'm asking you your permission to extend another 10 minutes.
Byron, I tell you already. You say once me come on, once me come on, once me come on, I'm yours until you tell me say we're
all right.
So you don't have to ask me nothing.
What you say, Rattigan? We there like Skilachip and we years.
Love that. All right. That being said, as it relates to what Sister Maria just said, and Sister Maria giving the warning, right, for us to stay away from the political violence. But I want to use the opportunity as well, right, to show our listeners, right, what appears to be the Prime Minister going down the road of violence. And I want people to see this clip that I am going to display. Wifey, without any delay, can you put up that? Big up yourself, BOLO V&R. You understand? Blessings, BOLO. And people, BOLO, make sure you not support BOLO, make sure you not support Anasabella Rose, make sure you not support Rattigan, make sure you not support Lonesome, make sure you not support all of, you understand, the Andre Stevenson, the Aromatic, and all the people. BOLO, big up yourself, my boss. All right.
And don't forget Jeffrey. And Hot Up for the Press and Jamaica Hot Topic. God bless them.
Honestly, I love to highlight these people because they spend their time and they are working on behalf of Jamaicans, all Jamaicans, right? Be like when BOLO break down his things, and very detailed person, right? So we love that and we welcome BOLO in this space, right? All those persons who are working very hard, the Andre Stevenson go way down. I said, okay, have him channel, context matters. You understand? Big him up. And remember, you understand, we can't live out the Titan boss, we can't live out Titans, and the list goes on. So big up everybody. So let us get back to, as it relates to how the Jamaican Labour Party is building up a narrative for violence, and I want people to identify this. Without any delay, let us get into this. Jamaica Observer, Holness says in English. So look at these people, what I'm going to show, right? As it relates to what Sister Maria said, where Eli Clark is going out and is not being called in, you understand, by the leader of his party, because the leader of the party is doing the very same thing. You can play. Okay, yeah.
I know that as leader of the country, as leader of the political party, many men wish death upon me.
Many men wish death upon me.
As your leader, I am always ready. As your leader, I can absorb, like Muhammad Ali, all the punches. And sometimes I don't throw a punch, Sometimes I just rope a dope. I just bounce with it. But don't worry. The knockout punches are going to come. Because we have worked too hard to build this country, to make the fake people come and take what we have built. We will work hard, we will show care, and we will get the people of Jamaica to support us and continue the good work of the Jamaica Labour Party. My Jamaica Labour Party family, the people of Jamaica, I love you. Thank you. God bless you. And go home safe.
Sister Maria and Brother Rattigan, when I just listened this, it appears as if the Prime Minister is definitely threatening the electorate and threatening, right, the opposition party. Because what he said there, right, that the knockout punch is going to come because he has worked too hard to let it go. And I see that. I see that as a political threat. I definitely see that what the Prime Minister is saying, that he's not going to let this go by the ballot, right? It seems like he's suggesting, you understand, that by any means necessary, he's not going to let go power. He's going to deliver knockout punches. And that to me seems like a threat. I don't know if I might be over-exaggerating here, but that look to me that the Prime Minister, right, is either threatening the opposition or threatening the electorate. What do you deduce from that, Sister Maria?
He's doing both. And the thing is, he's not the only one saying that, because Darrell Vaz has said the same thing, by any means necessary. We hear, what's his name, Warmington on the camp, he's doing the same thing. And Darrell Vaz is the son of Douglas Vaz. The Charleses are the children of Pernell Charles. So that bloodline is there. And the thing is, they not only the bloodline, their parents were involved in the Jamaica Labour Party at a time when violence was being used to sabotage another party, to sabotage the People's National Party. And they cannot allow themselves to go back there because it's their children and their grandchildren. Many of these, many young people right now, and well, shouldn't say, many adults right now lost their parents in the 80s. Many of them lost brothers and sisters. It cannot be allowed to happen. And when they come up with this kind of rhetoric, they must say to them with their full chest, we will not support you because you will not come into our communities and destroy our communities. You will not come into our communities and turn us against each other. We need our neighbors. When you're packed up yourself and you're gone to your Jackson and your Cherry Gardens and your Beverly Hills house, we are left in these same garrison communities. We are left with these same zinc fence with no outlet. You give the $5,000 and you're gone about your business. It cannot be anymore. They have to stop it. They have to make the change. They have to be the change that they want to see in Jamaica. It cannot be allowed to happen anymore because we cannot lose any more of our young people to political violence. The crime by itself is high enough. Why do we need to add political violence to it? And any politician, I don't care who it is giving a gun to a young person and telling him to go and cause harm to his fellow Jamaican. They must videotape them. Everybody has every donkey cart man has a cell phone. Videotape them some way, somehow, and put it out there in the public space. They must be named and shamed. It cannot be that you're a politician asking people to vote for you, but you're using violence to get into office. And when you get into office and you use violence, who are you going to represent? Who are you going to represent? How are you rebuilding these communities after they've been destroyed? You see what the 1980s violence, the remnants of that are still there. People are still living with the effects of that. Because many of the persons who were in the JLP in the 1980s, 79, 80s, who are part of inciting that violence against the very people they want to represent, like a Pernell Charles and a Babsy Grange and a Audley Shaw, Mike Henry, they were in the JLP that sabotaged the PNP in the 90s. Sabotage them. But the communists, is the communists there yet? The Chinese are there. And the greatest Chinese, communist party is the Chinese People Republic, whatever they call them. Exactly. They're the greatest communists, but they're there. Is anybody inciting any violence against them? Is anybody sabotaging them? Is anybody saying the communists are coming? No. But the JLP of the late 1979, under the leadership of Edward Seaga, sabotaged the Michael Manda administration. Caused mayhem, bloodshed. Seaga didn't say blood going to run from wherever, I know. He made that statement. I don't remember the exact quote, but he did make that statement.
He also
and boy, there was bloodshed. What did it? Yes, exactly. And there was so much bloodshed. Many people lost their lives. Many children lost their parents. Many mothers and fathers lost their children. It cannot be allowed to get back there. And the things that they're saying is mirroring that same language that was being used back then. A lot of people are old enough to remember it. And so we have to guard against it, because when Andrew Holness is gone up, his children are protected. Darrell Vaz's children are protected. Colonel Charles's family is protected. What about you? You cannot throw yourselves to the wolves like that. You cannot allow them to come into your communities and destroy your communities and drive out in their fancy cars with their chauffeurs and their security and leave you there to bury your loved ones. And you don't even have money to bury your loved ones, and maim your loved ones. And you don't even have a hospital to take your loved ones to after they're maimed. And you still don't have a school, you still don't have good schools, you still don't have hospitals, you still don't have proper roads. There's no infrastructure in there because you allow them to use you again for violence. See your brother and your sister as you see yourself. And the churches need to rise up against this kind of rhetoric coming out of these parliamentarians. And anybody come with this madness, this nonsense about it's not going to be peaceful, it's not going to be nice. Are you kidding me? Given the 1980s and what happened, this should not be allowed. And no politician who says that should be allowed to continue in that role. None. Because he's destroying him or her, they're destroying the very community that they want to represent. How wicked and evil can you be to want to do that to your fellow Jamaicans? It is a disgrace, and I implore my Jamaicans, please don't go down that road. Don't run them away, but don't. Yes, like somebody said, Mountain View and Ed Bartlett. Exactly, Ed Bartlett is still there. It's not today. Yesterday, Ed Bartlett in the JLP. So it might sound like stale news, and Andrew, like I said, many of you don't remember the 1970s. They remember the 1970s because a lot of people have children, have grandparents and parents who remember the 1970s, and their parents tell them about the 1970s, and their grandparents tell them about the 1970s, and they can read about the 1970s. But a lot of them, do you ask me if they remember the 1980s? with the bloodshed in the streets. It cannot be allowed to happen. And whenever we get on our platforms, we have to remind the Jamaican people, do not allow any politician to use you to hate your neighbor.
Yes.
Do not allow them to use it to destroy your communities.
All right.
Because when they're finished and you give them your vote and they win after destroying, using you to use violence against your neighbor and against yourself, they pack up and they go. And they're in their big houses with their families, having the best meals, and they don't give a shit about you. It is time to wake up and do better for yourselves and for your neighbor.
Yes, thank you for that, Sister Mara. Before I go any further, I just want to remind all the listeners here that tune in on Brother Rattigan show tomorrow. Please remember to tune in to Brother Rattigan show tomorrow. It's going to be interesting. And as always, Rattigan show always an interesting show of packing, right, solid topics. All right, so Brother Rattigan, you have heard the clip. What have you used from what the Prime Minister?
Well, based on everything I've seen and heard, the Prime Minister is desperate, and desperate times call for desperate measures. He has lost the faith and the confidence of the Jamaican people, and so, brothers and sisters, family, we cannot afford to have 30% of the voting population determine a mandate for the full 100% of the people who are qualified to vote. We must go out and vote. People died for you to have that right, and it's a crying shame that you would sit back and allow 34% of the people to give a so-called mandate. Think about that. A minority is giving the government a mandate for the majority, and then we sit back and then we complain. You cannot do that. You must register your complaint in the voting booth. That's where you do it. Now, the knockout punch that he's talking about, that knockout punch, you know, when a boxer in prime, in reflexes sharp and punches them crisp, and as you get older, your skills erode. He might talk about knockout punch. The time come for knockout punch gone. You know, the time the knockout punch was local election. That was the time for the knockout punch, the local election. And what happened? He get knocked out. And it's like a boxer will get knocked out and then put the smelling salts and then get up and then still want box. And the man will say, no, the fight over. The boxing not over. As far as I can say, this thing is over. We just need the people to go out and vote. That's all we need the people to do. Because if you, at the time of when he should have delivered that knockout blow with the local election, since then what has happened? His polling numbers are plummeting. You have more issues with education, more issues with housing, more issues with national security, more issues with foreign affairs, more issues with, you name it, you pick a ministry, and you have more issues, you have more complaints. The economy is not doing well as advertised. For the masses, for some people, yes, it's doing well. But for you, the people who were promised prosperity, there is no prosperity coming right now. And there is none as far as we can say until you decide what you're going to do with the election. The change that you're talking about is in your hands or on your finger, the one where you go dipping at the ink. And it's sad to say, but if you continue, my Jamaican people, to have a meager sum of people voting, then this is going to happen again. It's going to happen again, and you cannot blame anyone, because we in the diaspora, we are, for the first time in the history of the diaspora, you have a very dynamic and aggressive group of people saying, we see what the issues are and we're going to bring them to light to our people, and we're going to ask for change. Yes, there are things that we can do and we're doing them, but we cannot do everything. You have to join the fight. You have to raise your voice in unison. And thank God for the people at the Royal Carlton who show the rest of Jamaica that if you're dedicated and if you are cognizant of what the issues are and you're willing to stand up, you can make a change. You see, the Royal Carlton, you see what happened? General manager get suspended. Minister of Tourism at Bartlett have high-level meetings. Minister of Colonel Charles Jr. when Ministry of Employment or whatever,
Social Security Minister.
Yeah, him out there. And then the parent company for Royal Carter, them send out a VP for come Jamaica, for come be a part of this. Why? Because people stood up. That's all we're asking people. Let's stand together. You know, if we don't want to be unbalanced, we can't do it alone from here. We need to do it from there as well. So I yield to you, my brother. The knockout punch, right. the knockout punch thing that now. So you know when I said knockout punch now, with all of the deficiencies what happened since the local election, it can only mean a return to violence. Exactly. Or more vote buying, or bosom, or a combination of all three. So
yes, he's going to use everything that he can use.
Why are you laughing?
All right. Thank you for that.
Mariam, you come out with some place, man.
Let us show the people the history of the violence with Andrew Holness. He's known for violence, regardless of Andrew Holness coming out and shape his pretty what you call political rhetorics. Andrew Holness is known for violence, and let me play the clip and show people the evidence that Andrew Holness is known